and welcome to another edition of Pittsfield Community Television's On the Road. I'm your host today, David Cachat. I'm the Education, Government, and Technical Operations Supervisor at Pittsfield Community Television. Today we're on the road at the Berkshire Athenaeum. We're actually in the auditorium down here on the first ground level, the first floor level, the area behind the Children's Library here at the Berkshire Athenaeum. Lovely space for tons of community events we have here in the city of Pittsfield. We've been here, I'm sure most of you at home have been in this room for various and sundry things. Community meetings, the Friends of the Athenaeum book sale happens here 4 times a year. Plenty of other community events. PCTV is even having some events here. PCTV Studios to You will be here, as a matter of fact, at some point. But we're here today to talk about the Berkshire Athenaeum. I'm actually going to be sitting here with my friend Andrea. Andrea, hello, how are you?
Hello.
And again, what was your title here at the library?
I am the Technology Engagement Librarian based out of the Reference Department.
There we go. We're going to be talking today about some 3D printing, one of the exciting programs here at the Berkshire Athenaeum. Now, if you're familiar with the Berkshire Athenaeum, you know there are hundreds, if not thousands, of things to do here at the Berkshire Athenaeum. Anything from, it's not just checking out books. It still has that. There's still plenty of things to do in the library. You can check out passes to all the local cultural events. You can check out Kindles and laptops and everything like that. You can do technology-wise. You can come as a little cafe area upstairs. You can sit down, be eating some food while doing some research, local history. Search for anything you want in local history. There's a beautiful Melville room upstairs, which is absolutely incredible. If you ever get a chance to come and take a look at that, it's absolutely stunning to see some of those old pieces in that room. So again, I think the Berkshire Athenaeum, if I can sum it up, it basically is Berkshire County from 1500s to 2500, because we're looking far into the future with things like 3D printing and all the online services you guys have to offer. So it's quite the place. I invite everyone to come down to the Berkshire Athenaeum for whatever you need to do. Somebody will be here to help you figure out what you want to do down here, either one of the reference librarians or one of our technology people here like Andrea. So Andrea, today we're talking about these exciting little machines we have whirring away in front of us. These are, for lack of a better term, and for what everyone knows them as, they're 3D printers, right?
Yes.
So how long has the library had these in service?
We've had these for about 2 or 3 years now.
Okay.
They're freely available to all of our members in Berkshire County. Everyone is welcome to create a design and print them here at the library. The filament, the material used is sponsored. Large part by the Friends of the Berkshire Athenaeum. So you mentioned our book sales, so that's one of the ways that we have been using some of the funding from those programs.
And I think that's it shows a great relationship in a community organization like the Friends of the Athenaeum. It's not a direct link, it's not the library in itself, it's a group of dedicated volunteers who work all year round and raise money, and a good chunk of money for use by the library and for valuable things the community needs. And it's above and beyond the normal everyday Athenaeum needs like books and things like that. It's cool technology that people may not have access to without the Berkshire Athenaeum. Yeah. When I think of 3D printing, obviously my head goes to some futuristic thing of people are printing out parts on the moon on spaceships and stuff like that. You just said it, anyone in the community can do that. Is that what it is? It's basically just limited to your imagination?
Yeah, and to your skills, and I suppose your willingness to work long and hard at creating a design. But we have a self-guided program that's available to everyone in our community, and it's designed in a way to be responsive to your own pace. Okay. So learning how to design for some people is overwhelming. It was for me at first, and others seem to pick up on it like really very quickly. Yeah. So.
And I can see by some of the things that have been made, there are obviously varying levels of degree of difficulty on these things. Yes. You can go from a very simple design and it still looks very cool up to, like I said, we have 3D people and hands and, cartoon characters and a stopwatch, yes, which is absolutely incredible. Now you said self-guided.
Yes.
Is that something that can be done in the library, at home? Where can you do that?
So what we have available through the self-guided program is we require that you come to the library either in trainings that we offer. If we're in a lull period, you can schedule an appointment to work with me or one of us up in reference.
Well, you're going too far. You have regular training sessions throughout the year.
We do.
Pre-scheduled stuff. And okay, so that's good to know. So keep it a lookout basically on the website. Yep. When you come into the library, look on the board kind of thing and see when those things are scheduled. But to your other point, if you happen to come in between a workshop and you just happen to have some time available, you can book a time with someone like you to come in and learn that?
Yep.
Okay, so once I come down, I now have a training session scheduled. I'm either in one of the workshops or I'm working with you. What's my first step?
So the first thing is getting you familiar with handling the equipment. They're really cool. Like, most people haven't ever seen one or let alone touch one.
Yeah.
So it's about making you comfortable using the equipment. We'll teach you how to change the material, which is called filament.
Yeah, I noticed some of these. Is this an example of what some of it looks like?
Yeah, it's a piece of
It
material.
reminds me of like a electrical thickness, like it's very thin, but it reminds me of like electrical Romex wire, almost the consistency of it, you know, where you can still sort of have a little bend to it, but it's actually very tough.
Yes, and this is actually what we're holding in our hands, PLA. It's short for polylactic acid.
Okay.
It's basically a cornstarch blend, so
Really?
it's biodegradable, and if you ate it, which we don't advise that you eat your designs, but if you did,
We should put a warning up for that, should we?
it's not toxic, so you should make it.
Still incredibly tough, though. You know,
we do have
I just broke that piece off, but
in the library ABS though, which is even tougher.
really.
And
Okay.
then printing on the Ultimaker, we're using a blend of algae and PLA, so it's actually softer than
Really?
this.
Okay.
And there are possibilities to print with more flexible PLA, so it kind of would come out as rubber.
Okay.
So it
That's
just
very
depends on the
interesting.
material.
And
But
it depends on the material and what you want your end product to be, basically.
yeah,
To be a hard thing or more of a softer product. I did not realize there was that kind of a variance between the various formats you can print on.
oh, there are.
Okay, and I see now, like, you got yellow, I have orange, I see red in the machine, I see a gray, I've seen greens and yellows and pinks, and so all different colors you guys have.
Yes.
Can you mix and match colors within a design if needed?
We have, you'll notice
Yep.
the material is coming out of the head.
Yep.
So this is also something else we talk about in your in-person trainings are the parts. And right now there's only one head,
Yep.
and within that, if you were zoom up closely, you'll see there's a gold piece where the material's coming out of, and that's called a nozzle.
Yes.
We only have one nozzle on each head of the machine,
Okay.
which means material's only able to pass. Only one color
can pass
is
through?
passing through at a time.
So
There
how-
are machines out there that have multiple.
Sure.
not
So right
here.
now you get one filament color, like this one's printing red.
Yep.
This in front of it. Now this is what is this, the Ryan machine? The Orion machine, you said?
Yep, it's an
Okay.
Orion.
So, not to get too technical, but how does this hard piece of, as you say, PLA become that? Is it melting it and dripping it down into the format, basically?
Yes.
Is that, not in simple terms, is
Yeah,
that basically what's
that's it.
happening? Is it sort of superheating it and making it form, and then it's forming a solid thing when you're done?
Exactly.
Okay. You know, to me, it's fascinating to see a reel of basically looking like a wire you buy at Home Depot, you know, kind of to come and form some of these products that are sitting here on our set, which is absolutely incredible. Okay, so I think to your point, the first step is to become familiar with the machinery. And we talk about that all the time here at PCTV. You know, in order to make a TV show, you got to learn how to run the cameras. You got to learn how to run a microphone. So you have to learn how to run the software that for designing, and then how to put your filament in and get it all lined up and ready to go.
Yes.
And obviously you guys will be there every step of the way to help us if needed. Is the software available only in the library? Can you do it at home to design? Is there a downloadable thing? Explain to somebody how they can go about.
So there will be two different types of software that you'll use in the process.
Yep.
So the first piece of software, which I think is the most exciting, is the designing, making your
Sure.
design. We have available a variety of options. The easiest, simplest design software that we are able to connect patrons to is called Tinkercad, which is actually a website.
Okay.
And you're able to go on there and move shapes and designs together to make a larger object or
Okay.
a different design.
So basically, so it's sort of a basic, entry level. In CAD, everyone sort of knows a computer-aided drafting type of software. So you're just manipulating squares and circles and triangles to form something.
Yep.
Okay. That sounds pretty basic.
There are free, we do link to open source
Okay.
options. So if you wanted to download something, you could. But right now we have been starting with referring true beginners to Tinkercad. So basically at home, we encourage you to take your time to make your design and practice and get your hands around it. It's people will learn that at
Yeah.
different in different
Sure,
paces. So
sure.
we want that to be comfortable for you.
Okay.
We're there to provide help and assistance.
And now you said that's sort of entry level.
Yep.
Is there a next step up if someone learns that, or already has sort of a engineering background, or a love for that course? Is there a higher grade software, so to speak?
We had been referring people to 123D design. We do have it installed on our computers, but now it's no longer available. So we do refer people to SketchUp by Google, or formerly by Google. So that's freely available. You can have access to something like SolidWorks. That's if you pay for that. That's a
yeah, I've heard of that
pay
one.
for model. There's Blender, which is also animation software that does support 3D design. Mesh Mixer, which allows you to sculpt rather than use follow rules of geometry to make a design. We even have been using something called the Morphe app on our iPads to design, because some people just like using their hands to make a design. So that's
well, that sounds great. I mean, I guess that sort of speaks to the level of the user.
Yeah.
Whatever you're comfortable with as a user, go with that. So if I'm not an artist by any means, so I would not want to do a sculpting thing. I'm more of I can put a block here and a block here and put a triangle on top and make a rocket kind of a person. But obviously by some of these designs that I see in front of me, they're pretty incredible things. Very intricate, some of these things. And like you said, you're there every step of the way. You help out. And how long does it take? I mean, let's start with a very simple design. I come in and just want to create. I'm looking at some of these simple geometric designs that come out of these things. How long does something like that, from design right through to printing, you think would take, as a good rule of thumb?
It's hard for me to place. If you were just to print a square,
sure.
Using Tinkercad, it's at this point moving the shape onto onto your screen, so that shouldn't be too long. So let's say like maximum of 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
For design, and send it to the printer, and then how long does it take to print? I'm looking at like that little small pink hippo here. I'll even grab it.
Like the
here.
hungry hippo or Pikachu, like the hippo takes about an hour. The yellow one, Pikachu, he'll take about hour and a half. But depending also on how hollow or solid it is, can determine the amount of time it takes to print too.
What would determine someone wanting to pick hollow versus solid? Is it just you want it like this thing you want it to last long, so I'm going to make it solid? Some of these things I notice, I don't think is the hand right there. Is that solid or is that hollow?
Relatively hollow. That depends on what you're going to use your design with or for. Not everything needs to be absolutely
I was going to say, because after a while the filament,
in order to be stable. And actually this is a great example to show you. That's what it looks like as it's building.
It's almost like a honeycomb triangular pattern kind of thing. That it's still very solid. I don't think I could crush it or anything by any means, but it doesn't have as much filament. You don't have to, it's not a solid block of foam, basically, or filament. And again, this seems like a very basic square with some things in there, and so I could see where this doesn't take as long to print as a hand or our little model here.
Our bust of our director.
Yes, whereas this is definitely more of an intricate design than a square, But obviously the square has some stuff in there that does take a little bit of time. Actually, these things are just incredible to look at. Now, you mentioned one of the things that I thought was pretty cool. You just showed me before the show was this little scanner. So this thing here allows you, if I'm reading it correctly, to basically, if I had a Hot Wheel Matchbox car, I could literally just shoot from all sides, and it would merge the thing together into a solid sort of recreation of that Hot Wheel car.
Our handheld scanner is able to scan people, objects of varying sizes, from little to large. We do have a tabletop scanner too.
Really?
That would work well on
large things,
to scan a Hot Wheel to pick up on something like that too, because it just spins.
How big is that tabletop scanner?
Not much. Well, maybe two like iPad sizes.
That's still that's incredible. So you just place the object in there and let it go to town. Oh, that's excellent. And obviously this must be for sort of
That's handheld. You plug it into a computer. We found that actually we were getting better scans out of this one than the other, but that's also been part of our experience with 3D
Well, I was going to say, because it's such a new technology anyways, everything's kind of a learning experience, and I think that's what makes it exciting. We always talk about it, again, not to go back to TV, but we always talk about that as sort of we're learning, and we're just as excited as the users that come in, because every day they sometimes help us discover stuff we didn't know what a piece of equipment could do, and learn its capabilities in its fullest, because we're not coming up with the ideas all the time. I'm sure people come in all the time with surprises and go, "You want to print what?" "Oh, okay, let's try that."
Well,
like the little goat's head you were talking about.
Yes, I mean, that has been one of the most rewarding things about this process is having a connection with the community, seeing what everyone has been making to design. One of our patrons, he has an interest in space shuttles. So he's been designing our space shuttles, learns also about their travels, and then gains that other knowledge and story, then prints it, and then he actually goes home. He sands it and he repaints them. So he makes little sculptures out of them. But
that's
people
great
find
use.
It opens up doors, and it gets people excited about
Well, and again, I think that it shows you again sort of what you can do and where sort of the mind's limit can take you, because to me that sounds like the old style model kits you used to buy. Now you don't even have to buy the model kit. Now I'm thinking of the model kit basically and designing it myself and going to my local library and printing it out right there and going, well, I can't find that model of that space shuttle I want. I'll just make it myself.
And it also connects them back to the story.
Yes.
And like it opens up he'll revisit history and understand context. So it's printing and that hands-on, you develop that skill, but also don't forget about the liberal arts, I suppose. And like it ties in so well together. It's really it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing I've looked at too, is I'm looking at this from a cool science-y technology thing at its very core. But what you just said really ties it together. Because again, you could be talking about anything. Again, I'm reading Moby Dick because the Melville Arrowhead house is down the street. Let's design a whale right here and print something out. And all of a sudden you're tying everything together, and there's all your subjects together. So obviously kids must love this stuff.
Yeah.
As much as adults must love this stuff.
Teens, everyone.
I was going to say teens, everyone that comes in. Now, are these machines sitting somewhere normally where I could see them, or do you have to go? Where do I find you in this library to use these kind of things?
In the reference department.
Okay.
So they are sit on if you're familiar with the reference department setup, it's on the back desk. They're generally always available for public to use and print, unless we have them in a program where they're off-site somewhere. But they sit out in the public right behind.
Now you mentioned
librarians.
workshops and stuff. Do you have workshops for design and stuff? Is that also workshops for the printing part? Because I imagine printing must take a little while. Is that more of you've designed the work, now you go away and come back tomorrow and it'll be printed for you, or does someone need to sit right here and watch their thing being printed?
So we've been finding that people, when they make their designs, some, especially the first few designs, people can't get their eyes off of it, and honestly, neither could I. But they'll hang out and watch, but it does take a few hours to print something, so they are sitting behind the staff, so we have an awareness as to what's going on with the printer.
Sure.
If something wrong is happening with the design, like it is right now, we'd stop it or try and fix whatever was wrong with the machine. So it's
a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Like I said, I can imagine. Like I said, I'm just sitting here. I'd rather just end the show and watch and see what this thing's actually spitting out at the end. I guess my next question is, what are these machines actually spitting out right now? What is this Orion one doing?
We are printing, I think it's the base of a heart at the moment.
Sure.
And the other one...
That would not have been my first guess, but...
I think.
No, it looks like I think you're right. It does look like you're right, yeah.
And then the other one, I'm not sure. It's not printing. It's what we're calling failing.
Yep, that would be, that seems about right.
So it's not printing much of anything, but that's okay.
Well, again, I guess that's my whole thing I've always said about science is, failure, as they've learned on Mythbusters, is always an option. And you learn something from that, and you can certainly take that into consideration the next time and realize that even the people who know what they're doing sometimes make mistakes. Now, I think you mentioned in the previous show, there was a time when this was down recently, or?
Yes.
So
they do break.
Yeah.
Or what happened? And that's usually one of the first questions that people ask us.
Yeah.
Is, what happens when something goes wrong? Who fixes it? And our library response is, well, we do, and also the community too.
Yep. Yep.
So the Orion actually was not heating or getting up to the temperature it needed to be at in order to melt the material to print.
Yeah.
So we had to figure out what was wrong with it and then repair it. We have a few, I'll call them diehard patrons, who were excited about the opportunity to work with us on troubleshooting the printer. So basically through our research, our diagnosis was that there was either a difficulty or a problem with the thermistor, which is reading the temperature, or we learned about a part called a heat resistor, which distributes the heat across the head.
So either it was not heating it up correctly, or the machine thought it was doing its job correctly, but it actually wasn't.
There was a piece that wasn't capturing the heat equally and sending it across the head okay.
Sure.
And that was ultimately the problem, but we had to take apart the head. I discovered epoxy.
I was going to say.
And we had to change out some parts, and it was a lot of fun. And we're really grateful to our patrons who were happy to be a part in such good sports about the whole thing.
Sure.
And were able to help us return it back to service. And we've also now, with this machine, have been learning about heat and how it affects the print.
Yes.
And so it's
well,
just
again,
been its own.
it's a fascinating thing, because watching it, I'm watching all the parts move. We got the 3 legs, the triangular part here, and how they're all moving up and down at various rates. Like you said, you got a filament on the back feeding through and being sent through the tube, which is obviously being heated and spit out in the right amount at the right time in the right spot at the same, and all of that without having any of us having to go near it.
Yeah.
Once you set the design and tell it print this thing, it just goes to town, which to me is utterly fascinating that it can do that all on its own. And like you said, the bad part is when it doesn't.
Yeah. And I mean, that was a kind of an extreme situation.
Yeah.
Most of the time, and what I think is actually going wrong with the white one, the Ultimaker, is it looks like to me that something on the back, like it's not feeding up through the tube and it's kind of like jammed. So,
Sure.
And that's easier for us to
Those
fix.
are the easy problems.
And we'll even during like our trainings, we'll show kind of patrons like, here's sort of what's happening when it's going wrong, because we want for you to understand how
Well, you don't want people to get frustrated.
the machine works.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's the whole point of.
Now,
of
ultimately,
these
at the end of the
technologies.
day, is there any major differences between these 2 machines? Can they print basically the same sort of stuff?
Yeah.
Because I noticed this one here uses the arms more to sort of build up the thing, whereas this one looks like what it goes, the actual.
The plate lowers.
The plate lower. Thank you. That's what I'm trying to say. Is this one here the arms move up? This one the plate lowers to build the product, and this one builds it up. But for the most part, it's about the same technology, roughly.
Yeah. I mean, the ivory one, the Ultimaker, has a larger build plate. So in theory, if you want to make a big cylinder block, that's probably the one. This has a smaller workspace to build on to begin with.
Okay. Now
they do
can
the
you
same.
design? Can your designs go to either one, and then it's just a bait? Then you can just decide on, that one's a little bigger. Let me send it to this machine instead of that machine.
So earlier in the interview, I said that there are 2 pieces of software that matter.
Yes.
So step 1 was the design software.
Yep.
So software 2 is also part of the in-person training that we provide. The CAD, the designing at home, you can do at home. We'll provide extra help, but learning our equipment and the second piece of software, the slicing software, is step 2.
Sure.
These are different machines. So when you finish your design, we ask that you save it as an STL, which is a pretty general standard format, kind of like a doc is
For Word.
Sure.
Sure.
Kind of like that standard
Yep.
STL. And then you have to convert your STL into something that the machine specifically will understand. And that goes through the slicing program. So there's one piece of software for the Orion, there's another for the Ultimaker. And so we'll walk you through how to make those adjustments and
that's
show
where
you
sort
any
of
like
decide which machine needs to go to, and.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And like that determines the hollowness or how, if it's solid.
Sure.
So
Okay.
that's
Well, it's excellent. It's hard to believe we've only got like 90 seconds left on this show. Was there anything quickly you wanted else to throw out there for people?
come see us. 3D
You
printing
can't
is a
say
lot
it
of
any
fun.
better. Yes.
If you're teen kids, we'll help you print your designs. Adults will walk you through the entire program.
Yeah. This is great.
And we've just been really excited about all the opportunities
Yeah.
that are here for you and how
This
people
is
have been
great.
using them.
I can honestly say this is pretty awesome to sit here and watch. And it's been going since about a half hour before we started taping it, and it's been exciting to watch this thing. So I can't say enough more about it. I want to thank Andrea for coming in today on the road here. I want to thank the library for having us down here today at the Berkshire Athenaeum. It's been a great day so far. We get to see cool technology. Plenty of stuff to do here at the Berkshire Athenaeum. This is just one piece of it. It's a rather fun piece here at the Berkshire Athenaeum. So certainly stop in at the reference desk and say hi to Andrea and let her know that you're interested in doing some 3D printing. I think other than that, I just want to let everyone know that we've been PCTV. I've been Dave Cachat. It's been my friend Andrea down here at the Berkshire Athenaeum. And I want to thank everyone for watching us here at Pittsfield Community Television's On the Road programming. We'll be out and about the community all summer long, all year round. If you ever wanted to stop by our studio and don't see us on the road, but to stop by our facility, we're at 4 Federico Drive. We always invite you down for a tour. We're always available to show you what we can do to help make television. It may not be as cool as 3D printing, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad in its own right, and we always welcome you to come on down. So on behalf of Andrea and the entire Berkshire Athenaeum, I want to thank you for watching and have a great day.